Welcome to the New Earth Entrepreneurs Podcast, where innovation meets sustainability. Building a better tomorrow today. We interview changemakers and visionary leaders redefining success for the planet. Here you'll find inspiring stories and solutions that matter. Welcome to the New Earth Entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the New Earth Entrepreneurs Show. Today's guest is Drew Hubbell, principal architect at Hubbell Hubbell Architects, a San Diego-based firm known for their sustainable and artistic approach to architecture. Drew and his team have been pioneers in using green building materials like straw bales, insulated concrete forms, and adobe in their projects. His work focuses on merging art, sustainability, and resilience in the built environment. Today we'll explore his journey, the challenges he faces in promoting alternative materials, and his vision for bringing green building to a wider audience. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you, Timothy. Good to be here.
Glad to have you here. I'm excited to learn more about your journey and the innovative work with Hubbell Hubbell Architects. And maybe to start off, if you want to give us somewhat of an overview, your firm has been at the forefront of using alternative green building materials. Could you share more about the origins of Hubbell Hubbell and what drives your commitment to sustainable architecture?
Yeah, that would be great. I actually started, my father is an artist, builder up in the mountains above San Diego, and started about 65 years ago building with alternative materials, reclaimed cedar, adobe block, spray concrete. So I grew up sort of in that environment of green building and alternatives. And then after college, I worked for a preservation architect for about 6 years and learned about adobe and retrofitting old missions in Santa Barbara. And I got a little bored with that. So and my passion is really the sustainability and the green building part. I just saw that the world needs more of that and needs more architects and people thinking about that because of the way that our climate is changing so quickly. So about 30 years ago, I left that larger firm, historic preservation, and started my own firm with my father. He's not an architect. He was an artist, really wonderful designer of organic shaped buildings. And so our focus from the beginning has been educating building departments and being a resource for clients that want to build as green and sustainable as they can. So you mentioned straw bale as one of the greenest building products that are out there. It's a reclaimed from rice production, wheat, and barley. And so it's the leftover stalks. They can be stacked, and it provides a super insulated, very comfortable, very quiet home for people.
Yeah, I love. I've seen a few examples of different kinds of those materials, and yeah, just love to imagine what more and more of that could look like spread all around. Of course, I think it's great when people can use, if it's something locally too, like that reclaimed cedar.
Yes.
Just being able to work with the materials that are nearby. And also you mentioned about the art. I'm curious, the art plays a big role in your designs. How do you balance aesthetics with the practical challenges of green building?
Well, we strongly believe that beauty is one of the most important things in people's lives. And if you can design a building, whether a residence or a chapel or an outdoor park, and it's a beautiful place to go and they can connect with nature, because our driving force is really nature and respecting nature and listening to nature when you're designing something. So when people live in one of our homes, we hope that they're connected to nature of that site and they feel a part of it and respect it.
Almost sounds like a bigger problem or a bigger topic that you're addressing, other than just like a green building material. You're actually incorporating also really the quality of lifestyle that's being meshed together from the built environment, the natural environment, the individuals who are taking place in those environments.
Yes, just to follow up a little bit on the art part, look at some of our work. You'll see our studio and my father's studio integrated mosaic tile into showers or downspouts or stained glass in the entry door. So we're really trying to bring art and merge art and architecture so they become one rather than just a painting on a wall. It's part of the buildings.
Beautiful. I love that. And love to kind of play off of some of the successes and challenges that you successfully pushed for the use of alternative materials in California's building departments. What accomplishments are you most proud of in this area, and how has it impacted your projects?
So I think The biggest part is really getting the jurisdictions and the building departments to accept these materials as worthy and not giving the clients and the architects extra work to try to get them permitted or to get them through the system, where they become a part of just the vocabulary of what we can build with in Southern California, but also all over the country. And just an example, straw bale movement has taken off all over the world. France has one of the highest numbers of straw bale structures there. I know the British Isles have a number, and so it's moving around the world, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, if I'm able to, I'll try to link folks at the episode to be able to go see some of what these projects look like. Might you might have that part of the accomplishment might be the back end of the challenge. I'm curious, permitting and affordability are ongoing challenges in California. How are you navigating these obstacles, especially in promoting the alternative materials for affordable housing?
Yeah, you're exactly right. The permitting is taking longer and longer, especially California. We have a lot of regulations. So that part is really navigating and having experience from an early age of knowing what the rules are and then how to navigate and find a path around them. Just an example, when we took the first straw bale, it was almost 30 years ago, to the county of San Diego, we had educated them. We put together a booklet. There wasn't anything done at that time. We put together a booklet. So they had a lot of information up front. And when it actually took it into the county for permitting, it went much quicker because they were so excited to actually try something new and learn about it themselves. That's a fun example of how jurisdictions aren't always putting up a stop sign, but they can get excited about new, meaningful materials and help them go forward. And now the county in San Diego has a 15% reduction in your fees if you build with a green material that they view as green, either recycled or sustainable or super insulating.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
Yeah, it's nice.
It seems like a kind of I don't know, two sides of a coin where there's a lot of times challenges to get the projects through with permitting and getting these kind of materials approved. But then once the the requirements and the legislation is in place or the incentives are in place to help encourage it, it seems like it can be the kind of snowball factor to help really
Yeah.
move projects forward.
And that's happened with photovoltaics in California, especially. There have been so many federal and state incentives that, almost everybody, I don't know what the numbers are, but 30% of the state, I think, there's a lot of homes putting photovoltaics on their roofs for production of energy.
Yeah, it's a great resource to to make use of so
To
much.
harvest. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Curious with green building materials, they're not always widely accepted. What strategies have you used to educate public agencies and clients on the benefits of these materials?
For clients, it's really giving them the options, and we have a nice website where we spell out the different green materials and their benefits, their comparisons. For example, stick frame in our climate with the high fire risk, especially in our eastern counties in Northern California. Wood framing just doesn't make a lot of sense anymore, where the ICF block is a recycled foam coming from shipping of electronics. They chop it up and they mix it with cement, and then it forms these large blocks. They're 4 feet by 12 inches tall. And so it's a product that is a 4-hour fire rating compared to wood framing with stucco or some other surface material is a 1 hour. So it's just a much better product. So if we can tell people, it's maybe a 10% increase in cost, but it's a indestructible material in the long run, so it's going to be here forever, versus wood is a very temporary, especially if it gets wet or termites or a fire in California.
Yeah, the longevity is a huge factor to play into that. And gosh, yeah, I can't even imagine with all the fire consideration. I'm glad there are materials being created to help combat that.
Yes.
Be curious how you're addressing the challenge of making sustainable homes more affordable for a wider audience.
So on the affordability side, there is a little bit of premium for at least wall systems. But there's a lot of, because they're a little bit larger and they have some plaster or specialty, which isn't the traditional building, especially in California. Most buildings are stick frame with drywall and fiberglass insulation. So, but there's other things. If it's not a completely new home, we can orient the home for passive solar. So it's heating. So that doesn't cost anything more, but it's heating itself in the winter and staying cooler in the summer. We can design for natural ventilation. So where the windows are placed, some of those things don't cost any more than in one building or another. So it's just really being intelligent about how it's designed and being sensitive about the climate and what conditions affect the comfort of a building.
Lots of factors taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And looking forward, you mentioned a goal of bringing green building into to a wider audience. Do you have next steps to make that happen, and how do you envision Hubble and Hubble's impact on climate and environmental on climate change and environmental sustainability?
I think our impact, we're a small company, but we've been, as you mentioned, focused on this green sustainability for about 30 years. So we were one of the leaders. Cities all around the country and the state have mandates for green building, LEED certification through the USGBC, and a lot of civic buildings now have to follow these green standards. So it's become a lot more mainstream. And then also in California, we have something called Title 24 Energy Code, which pushes our buildings to be greener and more energy efficient. Now, as of this last year, everything in California has to be 100% a net zero, meaning you're producing as much energy on site as you're using. Every new home and ADU and new structure in California has to be net zero, so they all have solar or some other way of producing energy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great, and it's not that hard and it's not that big of an extra cost to design for that and incorporate that from the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning especially versus having
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
back, try to renovate and make those changes and additions. That's the best time to try to put those strategies and implementations into place. Well, check to the art and the beauty are clearly important to you. How do you see the role of aesthetics and artistic expression evolving with the green building movement?
To me, aesthetics are, right up there with being sustainable and trying to lessen your footprint. As I mentioned earlier, I think having a beautiful space that you are connected to nature, maybe it's views of a tree or if it's a small home, one of the things that we do for affordability and green building is building something that's smaller but can open up to courtyards. And so the room might be a small bedroom, but if you have French doors that open to a patio, it feels much larger. And especially in our climate in Southern California, there's a lot of wonderful spaces of living outside. It might be an outdoor living or an outdoor kitchen. So being able to live indoor outdoor is a great thing we can do in our climate.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other kinds of like future either innovations or kind of ways that you see homes moving to incorporate? I love that kind of blending the indoor, the outdoor environment, especially with your all's environment. But any other kind of trends that you're seeing coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, a couple of interesting things we try to incorporate in any new building or remodel that we can is the natural ventilation. So a few of our homes we've had cooling towers, which is a technology from the Middle East where it allows the hot air to be naturally ventilated out of a high opening and it cools and pulls the cool air in. So if not every owner can afford a tower or wants that on their building, but if we have high windows in the wall, let's say a window wall, and the windows up high can open, then that can naturally pull the hot air in, and then fans in the wintertime can blow that warm air back down into the room if it's a vaulted ceiling, let's say. And another wonderful trend that and a material that we like to use is earthen plaster. So on the straw bales or the ICF block walls or on wood frame, you can come back with a plaster that's mixed with It's an earthen made plaster, sort of like adobe block, and go right on the walls, and then a lime plaster. And that's found to be breathe and actually purify the air a little bit. So in a bale wall, it's a little bit like a natural system where there's no waterproofing membrane that traps all the moisture in the wall. The moisture is moving in and out of the bales and through this earthen plaster. And the aesthetics of a lime wash and a earthen plaster are really beautiful aesthetically for the spaces that we design.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of seeing some of the buildings in our area of Asheville, North Carolina, adopt some progressive building practices, and some have utilized the Adobe or the earthen plaster. And it's beautiful. I mean, some of them will do the designing with that material as well.
Yes.
Even just having that layer of I don't know. For me, it almost feels different. Maybe it's the breathability or something, but it definitely has more of a connected to that kind of external outdoor environment feel.
Yes, it actually, to me, it has a spirit to it where a lot of, if it's done well, it feels like you just want to go up and touch it. It doesn't feel like a drywall with paint. It's a completely different feeling to the interior of your house.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. You almost go down a philosophy rabbit hole of a true environment. I'm curious as Hubble and Hubble continues to grow, are there particular partnerships, resources, or collaborations that would help you scale and expand your impact?
Yeah, I think I enjoy lecturing, especially to students in architecture schools. So I think getting young people comfortable with the green building materials from an early time in their careers and seeing the importance of that. But relationships, we've had a lot of wonderful clients. They come to us because of our history with green building, and then we educate them about alternatives. One example, we've just put in a proposal for a Hindu Indian temple up in the Bay Area. And so they want to build a traditional temple on the property. It's sort of out in the rural area, but they also want a retreat center where they can educate and bring people not to just study Hindu, but learn about the environment and green building practices that can happen.
Amazing. Along in those kinds of collaborations, are there any kinds of clients or collaborators that you're looking for as you aim to bring sustainable design to more projects?
Yeah, I think we really enjoy the more public projects that we've done. We worked with Deer Park Monastery and built some nuns housing. So projects that more people get to see, but also affect a larger audience than just a single family home. Single family are wonderful, but really like we've designed some chapels and churches and parks where a lot of people get to come through and experience the benefits of green building and natural building techniques. And so then they might go home and say, I want to do a wall of earth and plaster, or we need to insulate our attic better so it's more comfortable, or put a ceiling fan, little things that can kind of ripple out to our larger audience.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was seeing, that kind of the ripple effect by just exposing more people, which seems to be a kind of like a pillar need for the green movement is people just getting aware of this building used more, earthen plaster or other kinds of sustainable materials and practices to just help people become aware of what's being used and how it might be able also to be utilize their own projects and going
Yeah.
forward.
And as I mentioned earlier, there's, little things that people can do. Just a fan can lower the temperature 10 degrees or your comfort zone. So simple things, being able to open your windows. For example, if you open your windows at night, if it cools down, and then close it up if it's a hot day, the materials like straw bale and ICF block are a little bit like a thermos bottle where they're super insulated. So that cool of the night can stay the whole day, and then you're not using any electricity or gas to heat or cool the space, or you're using much less than you would.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I've got one more just in kind of a big encompassing going forward. I'm curious what excites you most about the future of sustainable architecture and the direction it's heading.
Um, I'm excited about it spreading to more people and just the knowledge base. And there's a lot of great information now with the internet, and you can search any product or material. And so I think the word is spreading. And so for more people and for also different countries to get on the bandwagon and make our buildings and our environments much more energy efficient and less impact on the world, and hopefully bringing our CO2 levels down back so we're not having these catastrophic storms and uh, global warming that we are having now.
Yeah, less impact or less negative impact, maybe even
Yes,
more of a
yes.
positive regenerative impact when it really is done in a good way like y'all are doing. Well, anything else? I'm curious if I missed any either big projects maybe y'all are excited about that you've worked on or are working on, or just anything else in the field of green building that we haven't covered here that you might like to touch on.
There's one fun project. It's a single family residence, but it was a very challenging site because it was full of large boulders. They are 12 feet high by 20 feet wide. One of them we incorporated into the entry, dye the wall right into it. So that boulder is part of the building. And then there was another one that was too big to move or get rid of. So we built the mezzanine. So there's these beautiful curved stairs that go up on a mezzanine, and that's a sleeping loft within the house. And the house also has a beautiful radius roof. So it's all pretty green materials, but it has a beautiful aesthetic of, as we talked before, sort of blending really with that site and fitting in. It had to in this case because the site was very difficult to build on. So that'll be a fun one. It's in the final stages, and we're going to have photographs soon, but we're excited to kind of get that out there because I think the beauty of the design will also push the interest in the materials as well.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that. Hopefully, push the thought processes for other architects and builders, saying, "Whoa, what's possible if they're able to build on that kind of landscape and
Yeah.
incorporate something like that." You definitely have seen tree houses, but not so often do you see the large boulders really getting incorporated into homes.
Yeah. Then I have a nice quote by Mahatma Gandhi about change. He says, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world." So trying to practice that every day in our practice and our lives.
Living it, being the change, absolutely.
Yeah.
Drew, thank you again for sharing your journey and your insights. I'm looking forward to seeing how Hubbell and Hubbell Architects continues to lead the way in green building.
Thank you, Timothy. Enjoyed our conversation and look forward to hearing your podcast.
Yeah, thank you.